Strongman is the closest thing I've seen in the sports to a popular fair. You know how it's done in Brazil? It's on a Sunday, the street is closed, people drink, smoke weed, turn a few tires, have fun. The high level professionalized sport is far away before anything. It's fun stuff to do on the streets. It has always been a circus activity, a fun thing. Let's see who throws this thing here the farthest. That's it. And I thought it was really disrespectful to commodify the fun that people were having on the streets by associating it with commercial porn drenched product, which was also pretty bad for the female strength athletes. And that was the fight, but it led nowhere. And I think the media is much more tamed now. We're less treated like circus animals.
And you're writing about the media campaign against strength sports in Brazil. Could you explain to our audience what that was about?
It was one of those three silly TV shows with little sketches with obvious appeal to porn symbols and some girls representing the porn component together with the car being flipped or snow. I thought that as athletes, as strength athletes, we should have a say in how our practice was represented in the media. Just because they have much more money to say things doesn't mean what they're saying is more interesting to their audiences. We know strongman is interesting, and it was about strongman. Strongman is the closest thing I've seen in the sports to a popular fair. You know how it's done in Brazil? It's on a Sunday, the street is closed, people drink, smoke weed, turn a few tires, have fun. The high level professionalized sport is far away before anything. It's fun stuff to do on the streets. It has always been a circus activity, a fun thing. Let's see who throws this thing here the farthest. That's it. And I thought it was really disrespectful to commodify the fun that people were having on the streets by associating it with commercial porn drenched product, which was also pretty bad for the female strength athletes. And that was the fight, but it led nowhere. And I think the media is much more tamed now. We're less treated like circus animals, more like the capitalist circus.
Do you think, just branching off that, do you think the rise in CrossFit culture may have had something to do with that? More people getting involved in strength sports in a way that was easier for them to access?
That's demonstrable. Actually, I was pulling some quantifying some research trends and scientometric trends from PubMed, and the rising interest from social media and from the academic community is parallel. CrossFit, powerlifting, weightlifting and powerlifting. And I didn't strongman doesn't score that much, which actually I think is strange. Strongman is an incredible source of biomechanical problems to be solved, but this all grew parallel. Strongman has a different dynamic. It started to be media popular, not exactly doing stuff popular, but media popular in the late 70s, because Universal Studios decided to organize the world's strongest men. It's a big international competition, and the events, that's the beginning. After that, there was an actual sport formed there, and the federations were formed, rules, because there was no rule at the beginning. The other strength sports like powerlifting, weightlifting, arm wrestling were already institutionalized way before. And yeah, it's an interesting thing. One of the things that sociologists of sport will have as an object, sportization. What makes something into a sport, what and how it evolves or not into a sport. In the strength sports, sportization is really interesting because it didn't happen like other modern sports that were institutionalized, like up to the Second World War. So there are multi federations. There's a weird power structure, and they are already outside the association model. It's a mixture of event organization and association. Now with CrossFit, this all exploded because CrossFit, I criticize Glassman a bunch of stuff. I think the discourse, because there is a CrossFit discourse founded there. It's very interesting to analyze. One thing it did was, even if physiologically mistaken, promote everyone athlete. Everyone is a potential athlete. This is a step toward democratization that I don't think is properly understood. How important this was, even from for those of the practitioners who never entered the CrossFit. The fact that CrossFit went out there and said everyone is potentially an athlete. Of course, afterwards there was all sorts of deformers like everyone is potentially an athlete. Therefore, I am superior to you because I realized this potential and you are lazy, fat, whatever. This kind of stuff happens. And the healthy part is stay on track. Everyone is potentially an athlete and remain so. It's very optimistic. That's beautiful. And I think that changed our idea of sport. So, what's sport, right? There are a bunch of different definitions, but what I like is sport is institutionalized game, and game is ruled autotelic action. So, I like to explain with throwing pebbles on a lake. So throw pebbles on a lake. That's pure autotelic. Why do you throw pebbles on a lake? Because it's fun. Why is it fun? I don't know. It just is. I throw the pebble. I feel good. It's fun. I can throw pebbles. There's a different branch of this discussion. There's a very deep rabbit hole. We're not going to go there. The next one is marbles. So a bunch of kids get there and say, okay, rule number one, you got to hit that ball that's over there. Rule number two, if you hit that ball, you get another two balls. No, you get three balls. No, two balls. No, three balls. They spend a long time negotiating. The third stage is somebody gives a set of rules, and then there starts to be some sort of power negotiation. In the fourth would be some federations, right? The federation is an external power structure that takes away from the athlete, the practitioner, now promoted to athlete, any power of decision. He comes in, the rules are there. He plays according to the rules. He doesn't. So sportization is really an interesting sociological phenomenon. I was called to discuss sportization of parkour. Parkour was discussing intensely, very well elaborated arguments because a part of them said, no, we don't want to become a sport. We don't want, because that will involve power structures, federations, hierarchies, and money. We want that out of our stuff. We want to keep it democratic.
Then our last two questions. You are prolific, multidisciplinary, and also an athlete. How do you find time to do it all?
No, I don't. I don't compete anymore. You know what? I tend to think that this question is asked by people who are younger than me. Because there was a question that you guys sent to me about how I make sense of the timeline of my career. And okay, let me try to answer this question because right away, like that, I don't know. So I put the dates. Man, I'm old. And the thing is, I have 4 professional decades, very well delimited. I didn't do everything in each one of them. So I did all these things sequentially, some of them. I did it like, how do you manage to power lift and play the harmonica and extract protein from cell cultures? These are done years apart. So I think one explanation is that I really moved sequentially from one stage to the other, and which was very frowned upon at the time, with very dramatic discontinuities that meant learning a lot of skills again. Like I have a PhD in sociology, but I had to learn everything that the people who had an undergraduate training in sociology knew. So I kept what I knew as a biologist. Then as a biochemist, on my way to sociologist, sociology. I had to learn because I didn't know exactly what track it was going to be. Philosophy, formal logic. I loved it. It was like a game for me. So I did all these things because I'm old. Each one had its own time to be, like a little life inside a bigger life. And now that I'm here, I'm trying to rescue a bunch of these skills, and if not the skills, at least hopefully the wisdom from all these interventions in reality, put them together and play in this new board of the AI economy.
Yes. Well, kind of like each stage is like a little chapter in your book.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's part of that. That has been an interesting part of falling into aging, is to look. And I was talking about AI. AI helped me with that. Hey, I wonder if you guys are going to do some special thing in AI in sociology, social models, and AI, and because this is such a fascinating. My experience with AI is that fascinating. My experience with AI is that it was extremely helpful to provide me with a mirror to look at my career, which is messy. Now I can tell you about my career like this now because Gemini helped me. All I saw was chaos. Okay, take a look at my CV, at my publications, and at how the internet sees me. What do you see? And then we went from there, and I created a library of that I upload to it when I want to deal with this project. I created games to play with the AI that the AI can be good at, that are profoundly rooted in sociological theory, which is the futures games. We create a future scenario, and we, for example, one of the variations of the game, we go step by step down the ladder up to the present, down to the present. The AI always wants to reverse engineer it. Okay, let's get the success story. We reverse engineer it. We have the success recipe here for the present. But you can slow it down with the prompts and explore. Why did I choose that? Who else was involved? What social circumstances? And this was useful to me.
With your knowledge background, such a varied background, and mentioning AI, do you think it will be used at any point as a tool to do what you do, synthesize together all the various areas and parts of knowledge
I
for
think
clients like you work with?
I think it will be a partner. I don't think AI can do that because, and I think Gemini agrees with me. We've discussed that. Okay. But no, AI doesn't have historical depth. When you talk to an LLM, it's fascinating. I think it's going to be a useful partner in the best case scenario. Let's just treat the scenarios first. I am not an AI naive optimist. Okay. But I am a Marxist adjacent person. Like I have a Marxist framework I follow. And what I believe is that AI is a incredibly interesting, powerful technology that was an obvious outcome of the technological route we were on for decades. I don't think any social scientist is being serious if they act surprised with what's happened. That's what was supposed to happen. And like every technology, the same challenges stand in the hands of the dominant classes, and especially if they are declining like an empire falling, they will be defensive and they will use all the technology available for their interest. That's it. That's what technology. Of course, we can go a little deeper. The shaping of the technology itself is not neutral. It's laden. It's socially, ideologically, and economically laden. Yes, it is. But once it's there, it's a tool. And I believe this tool can be extremely useful in an egalitarian society, in a socially just environment. The AI is going to do something awesome. What tools do? It's going to save our work so that we're free to engage in creative activities. That's the whole goal, right? We don't want to work for the sake of work. We want to work meaningfully. And I'm not saying, I'm not separating manual or intellectual. Gardening is extremely meaningful, but we want to be able to do it as a choice, as a human creative choice. AI is a tool. It's a very, very useful tool. In a good scenario, I think people like us are the partners to do this kind of dot connecting. LLMs can't do that because they have no depth. They have no memory. They don't exist in time. Their connections are super useful, but they are statistical. There are certain connections that the LLM can't make. And I'm not sure when there will be an AI model that can, and if there's a bunch of people in the industry, in their industry. I'm not an expert in AI, but who say AGI is actually a figment of our imagination. It's never going to happen. I don't know. I don't know enough to say what I think. What I do think is that we should appropriate ourselves of this fantastic tool and use it to help humans, not to help billionaires. There's people out there doing that. There are AI experts who are farming ice for the people, and there's good stuff going on.
If money was no object and you didn't have restrictions, what would you like to research?
I think I am childish with this, because if money was no problem, then maybe I am not so necessary. I can study just what I want. Then I think, each day I want to study something different. But no, I there's some things that are constant. I am at a phase where I'm very, very in love with the microbiome and with the long history these little guys have with us, like a million years of partnership. And this idea of the holobiome, how it shapes even our interactions with each other and with the natural world. And maybe I'd go there.
I think that would be a fascinating place to go. I always find anything about the microbiome really, really interesting.
Isn't it? Oh my God.
Thank you for studying with us today. We hope that you can join us for our next podcast episode, where we dive into another study session with discussions of social sciences in reality.